and thank you for joining our partner webinar today. We were going to do a 15-minute Q&A at the end of the webinar, so please use the chat box to ask questions, and we will definitely take time at the end of the webinar to go over those. Today, you're going to hear from Jennifer Sand. She's our VP of Product Management here at Everbridge, and she's going to be covering the top 3 use cases for crisis management. Jennifer, take it away.
Thank you. As Lisa mentioned, I am the Vice President of Product Management here at Everbridge. That includes our CEM solutions, but it also includes a solution we launched last year called Crisis Management. So today we're going to focus on what is crisis management, what problems does it solve for our customers, and what are some of the use cases that we're seeing our customers leverage crisis management for. So as everyone on this call is very familiar, we're in the space of critical event management, and what we do is we help our customers manage the full life cycle of critical events that may impact their organization. And we do this through a combination of risk intelligence, but also software solutions that allow our customers to identify who and what in their organization is impacted, manage the overall response, and then understand how they're performing. There's a number of capabilities that we've built into the platform that automate portions of this so that our customers can rely on the platform to always be there and always be on, even when they may not have their operation centers or their environments fully staffed in person. So when we're thinking about crisis management specifically, we're talking about how to organize and manage the overall response when you're faced with a critical event. And as we're all aware, these types of disruptions happen every day. Many different types of events are happening globally. And for our customers, it's really important that they resolve these as quickly as they can. When I talk to customers, they often describe very similar problems in terms of managing and orchestrating their overall response. Often they have challenges finding the right plan, or they may encounter a situation that they hadn't planned for. So that means that there might be something new that pops up during the management of an overall response that they need to account for that they didn't predict and they couldn't necessarily accommodate as part of their predetermined plans. They have challenges gaining situational intelligence, so they really need to know what's happening on the ground, where the overall event is taking place, and they need a way to learn about that from the folks who are there managing the event directly in the location where it's occurring. And then finally, the other problem that they encounter is when they do need to make a change to their overall plan and communicate to folks in the field or responders. It's difficult to ensure that those changes are communicated effectively, or even that responders are operating from the right plan to begin with. So all of these challenges that our customers are facing can lead to increased response time and then ultimately increased impact to both their business as well as their employees. So what we did at Everbridge was we built a solution that's called Crisis Management, and it allows our customers to activate a response plan. This includes a place to store documents and images that are related to either the plan or the response to a particular event. It also gives the ability for our customers to assign and track tasks. So they can do this from task lists that are predetermined, but they can also generate new task lists on the fly as a situation unfolds. And then finally, it also includes some collaboration capabilities that allows responders to report issues, send pictures, and really facilitate that overall coordination between a centralized crisis management team and folks out in the field who may be executing on that response. So it's important to note that this is integrated tightly with the Everbridge platform. So it's integrated with our existing communications capabilities and leverages the incident templates and other communications capabilities that our customers have operationalized and are using on a daily basis. It also integrates directly with our Visual Command Center for our CEM customers, who are leveraging our risk intelligence and are able to receive alerts in VCC. Crisis management is integrated tightly there as well. So once the response is underway, we also provide the ability for stakeholders to follow progress. This can be done through centralized visibility of task lists and real-time updates as task status changes. It also provides the ability to create and share out situation and after action reports. And then we can also create customizable dashboards that can be shared out to different groups with different content, depending on what's suitable for different stakeholders to stay informed of. So for instance, you might share out a dashboard to the executive team, one set of stakeholders, but you might have a separate dashboard that is being used by the crisis management team or by the legal team or by HR. And then finally, every single action that is taken within the tool not only is visible in terms of task lists and notes and things like that, but also in audit trails. So regardless of whether an action is taken using the mobile device or the web interface or VCC, it's all fully audited so that you have a system of record that lets you know who did what as part of the overall response. So next, we're going to talk about how these capabilities are used related to 3 distinct use cases. Generally, when people think about critical events, they think about major disruptions that are impacting an organization. For example, a hurricane. So most of our customers who may be impacted by a hurricane have their hurricane response plans in place. But response to a hurricane can become really tricky, especially for organizations that are very large with many different lines of business, and especially for organizations that have a distributed footprint, such as a retail organization. So in this example, we'll just suppose that a Category 3 hurricane is bearing down on Wilmington, North Carolina, and there's a retail company that has retail locations in North Carolina, and those workers will need to evacuate as necessary as the state calls for, but also the retail stores will need to be shut down and prepared for the overall hurricane. So what crisis management allows our customer to do is they can launch a hurricane critical event template. So this means that they can have predetermined task lists, communications, and documents that are in accordance with their specific hurricane response and what's necessary for their organization if they're faced with a hurricane. So this allows them to ensure that all responders know what to do. So organizations may update their overall response plans on an annual or biannual basis. And leveraging crisis management allows them to send out the latest response plans at the point that they're managing a particular critical event, so that they can ensure that all responders know what the latest plan is and what's expected in terms of the tasks that need to be executed and the status updates that are necessary to be provided. Additionally, it provides a way for the responders to add comments and photos for additional context, and facilitates the communication between a centralized team and any shared service teams, as well as, say, the store managers who may be out in the field executing some of these tasks in preparation. So if, for instance, they've identified which locations of the stores must be closed, they might have an approval process to facilitate that. And there's also additional notifications that may need to go out to different organizations within the overall company. So they could create an incident template, have that associated with their overall hurricane response plan, and have that queued up. So that way, when they seek approval or they need to send out communications about closing a facility or closing a retail location, that they have a templated communication that's ready to go to allow them to do that. It's important to note that because this is built on the Everbridge platform, then it means that our customers can leverage the communications capabilities that are already available in the platform as well. So for instance, any incident communication that goes out could automatically launch a conference call, as well as leverage the incident chat capabilities that are built into our platform. So if the situation changes, if there's additional steps that need to be taken that may not have been accounted for, then that can be done on the fly as well. So as much as we advise our customers to have templated communications and templated response plans and task lists, it also is very flexible so that they can add additional tasks if necessary. So in this scenario, if several locations are flooded and need additional resources from facilities, then that means that they can take photos, they can collaborate and using the task list, but also dashboards and chat capabilities. Additionally, they can add new tasks on the fly if necessary in order to adjust their plan to the new situation as it unfolds. And then finally, they need to keep everyone informed. So as I mentioned earlier, they can leverage customizable dashboards to facilitate executive updates. These dashboards are updated and all activity is logged and available in real time. Additionally, they could also publish details using the situation reports. These dashboards can be shared out to executive teams and accessible either on their laptops or directly from the Everbridge mobile app. It's embedded in there as well. So just one example of a recent customer win. So Truist is a CEM customer at Everbridge, and they recently adopted our crisis management solution specifically for this use case. So they have about 60,000 employees. They focus in financial services, and they're a retail bank. Essentially have a lot of different branches, and they need to really understand the potential impact to their branches, services, and processes in the event of a major event such as a hurricane. So one of the things that we're working on in partnership with Truist and other crisis management customers is this new capability that we're going to be rolling out here in the second half of 2020 called an impact tracker. And what this does is it allows our customers to send out easy to fill out surveys so that their responders in the field at their various branches can provide updates in terms of their overall status. And this allows them to get a rolled up report to understand what are the most impacted locations and how do they prioritize getting necessary resources to those locations. And it also allows them to provide a rolled up report to their executive stakeholders and facilitate that communication as well. So moving on to our next use case, often when people think about critical events, they really think about these major events like hurricanes or earthquakes. And not every critical event is as major as that. And often when I'm speaking to customers, one of the things that I advise them on is to also find use cases that could happen on a more frequent or daily basis in order to ensure that they're using the tool more frequently and they're not learning the tool when faced with an emergency. So one simple example is in the event of a power outage. So if, for instance, a power outage occurs and corporate campus needs to be closed and everyone needs to work from home, then you can very easily put together a pretty quick response plan in terms of what needs to happen there for overall communications and any coordination that might need to happen in the event of something very, very basic that you might encounter on a more frequent basis. So again, you can have a separate critical event template that's focused on a power outage with task lists, queued up communications, any required documents associated with that. And again, all responders and stakeholders are notified of any tasks that need to happen, and that can be issued out through these tasks lists that are available through the mobile app or on mobile devices through a web interface as well. So one communication that is likely to occur in the event of a power outage is you might need to close the office. And it's pretty easy to put together an office closure template that allows you with a single click of a button or as configured on the template to automatically notify any employees who work out of that office that the office will remain closed until power becomes available again. So in this case, if the power outage also impacts IT services or it impacts data center, then because we're leveraging the communication capabilities that are built into the Everbridge platform, it means that we have integration into the incident templates that are also leveraged by our IT alerting solution. So this means that you can alert the on-call team and you can leverage the task list to communicate the run book for failing over to a secondary data center and ensure that services are up and running. So this also means that you can queue up all of the communications to the appropriate IT team so they can verify that the systems and services are up and running as well. And again, any automation that you have built into your IT alerting capabilities would be leveraged by that existing integration too. So once that verification is complete, then the team can leverage the situation report capabilities to update the executives on current status. They can include root cause analysis and any associated documentation and next steps. And all of that can be documented in the context of this overall critical event. So looking forward, when we think about what's next with crisis management and our IT alerting solution, in the first half of 2021, we're going to be rolling out the ability for our IT alerting customers to launch a critical event as part of an overall ITA smart orchestration workflow. So a lot of our IT alerting customers leverage our solution for alerting capabilities and communications capabilities, but they also leverage smart orchestration within IT alerting for automation and orchestration across the various tools that they're leveraging within their IT environments as well. So by providing additional access through APIs to the crisis management solution, it means that we can automate the collaboration and the overall response and also share data between those tools as well as the run book that is being leveraged within crisis management to organize the overall response. And again, this tighter integration will be rolling out in the first half of 2021. The final use case that we're going to talk about today is, of course, something that everyone is dealing with at this point in time in terms of the overall COVID-19 response, but also planning for and executing on the return to work. When we think about this, there's a number of complexities that come into play with return to work initiatives. So we're dealing with constantly changing situations, especially for our customers who are global in nature or are geographically distributed otherwise. that means that they have different realities that they may be dealing with depending on that geography. And that also means that depending on which region or state they're operating in or which country, there's different phases that are in place based on what those overall realities are. So that means that there may be different processes, different procedures, different reopening steps, and you may need to track which phase each geography is in and be able to report on that. So it becomes a very complex problem, especially when you're dealing with larger organizations. So we rolled out a number of solutions related to COVID-19, specifically focusing on these 4 areas. First thing that we did was we rolled out additional intelligence so that our customers can understand the risk as it relates to COVID-19. So our risk intelligence was augmented with COVID-19 specific data, including quarantines, understanding production stoppages, transportation disruptions, and so forth, in order to provide a more detailed level of insight throughout the course of the pandemic. We also just recently launched our contact tracing solution. So this allows organizations to perform wellness checks, do both proximity and location-based contact tracing, check employees for symptoms, and ensure traveler safety. And again, this is leveraging our existing mobile app and also takes advantage of the privacy protections that we've put in place in that application as well. Within crisis management, which is what we'll focus on today, we have leveraged the task lists in order to allow organizations to recover their operations. So the overall management of a phased return to work and being able to adhere to regional regulations and understand the impact based on that geography. Also, being able to understand what the overall audit trail is as you're returning and restoring those operations and as different geographies are returning to work. And then finally, some additional capabilities to protect your people around area monitoring so that you can understand whether social distancing protocols are being adhered to, whether folks are using personal protection equipment properly, and also monitoring for additional building safety capabilities, including temperature, proper ventilation, humidity, and so on. So for this particular discussion, because we're focused on crisis management, we are going to focus on the recover your operations capabilities. And what we're able to do in crisis management is we're able to allow our customers to create standard task lists that provide the overall guidance for what return to work looks like for a particular organization. That said, because these task lists can be customized and repurposed based on the overall geography, as well as who the responders are, it means that they can be customized on a per location basis in order to follow the local regulations and guidance, as well as the phase that a particular geography is in. So where you might start with a single unified process for a return to work, that can be easily customized on a per location basis to account for those differences in reality that larger organizations are facing as they're trying to manage the overall process. So the flexibility here allows our customers to take that phased approach and manage the different regulations and procedures while getting full visibility into the tasks and their status along the way. So again, these can be distributed via the mobile app as well, and different documentation can be distributed depending on that location. So you can not only customize the task list on a per location basis, you can also determine whether you need to assign that to a different set of responders based on that location. And you can also attach location-specific documentation to the task list as well to make sure that everyone has the most up-to-date information. And then finally, in terms of managing the overall complexity, we can provide a rolled up view of the return to work process and restoring operations across the various locations, as well as any additional critical events that an organization might encounter. So this really provides a higher level view in one place to manage all of the various activities, regardless of the complexity the organizations are facing. So those are really the three use cases that we wanted to highlight today to provide some insight into the breadth of use cases that our customers are leveraging crisis management for. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. And if, for instance, you want any additional information, you can also send an email to partners@everbridge.com, and we can provide additional information and answer additional questions there as well.
We don't have any questions coming in yet. Don't be shy. Everybody, feel free to use the chat function at the bottom of your screen here to send some questions to us. We have one from Caitlin Williams. Do you have a deck you can share for customers that focus on back to work like you explained on here?
Yes, yeah, we can absolutely get you a back to work focused deck, and we'll also be distributing this deck after the webinar as well.
So I'll include both. I'm going to send a follow-up here, Caitlin, after the webinar with the replay. I'll send what Jennifer's presented here today, as well as the Get Back to Work presentation. You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. Thank you all for joining. Like I said, we'll send a follow-up to you today with the presentation here, the replay, as well as the Get Back to Work PowerPoint presentation. And if there's anything else you need, please don't hesitate to reach us at partners@everbridge.com. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.